Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Check, yeah. Don't ask me why again, we tried again and didn't feel the same. The plans was nicking up the diagram. Winter overseas, I got some bags that need acquiring. We used to get cash, the checks bigger so they wire them. Plug talk, fuck the middleman, bring the supplier in. From Italy to Ireland.
Generation of Wrestling Podcast. You are not rocking with the God. What's really good?
Let's get it, GOW!
This is your forever Knockouts World Champion and Hardcore Country, and you are listening to the GOW Podcast because, you know, we always like to do it with a little hardcore country.
I got my stripes earned, battle tested, mics burned, it takes time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of the GOW, the Generation of Wrestling Podcast. I am the franchise, and with us we got AIW Grand Slam champion himself, Mr. Future Too Bright. We got that boy Eric Taylor in the building. Eric, how you doing, brother?
Man, I am great. And you know what? Your guys' intro just gets better and better every single time I come on this show, man. That was fantastic.
First of all, thank you. And joining us, man, is going to be my co-host, King Tuco. But, dude, I appreciate it. It's funny you said that, man, because every time we talk to people that we haven't talked to in a while, they say, hey, you know, you guys are leveling up. So to get that recognition from you all, man, it's pretty dope, man. It's nice to know our hard work isn't just floating out in the ether.
Yeah, 100%. Right when it started, I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? It was great. It was fantastic.
Well, I appreciate it. And after this, man, somebody else is going to definitely make the cut soon, man. So, hey, you know, look out. But seriously, man, hey, let's get right into it, brother, man. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, like we were just saying before we started, just trying to keep busy and, you know, start the year off right, you know, start some new goals, get really, you know, hit the ground running and whatnot. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
No, you said New Year. I know AIW. We got a big show coming up next week. But let's talk about 2025, man. You know, if you had to sum up 2025 for Eric Taylor, how did you think the year went for you, and what do you want to improve upon here in the new year?
I would definitely say ups and downs. I think it was a challenging year in the best way possible. I think there was a lot of moments that were really, really high, and there was a lot of moments that were really, really low. And I think that that's kind of what you build on in 2026 is to try to learn from all of those moments, whether they're successful, whether they're failures. You know, I mean, that's just the name of the game of professional wrestling in life, right? Is just try to make sure that you learn from what you can, and whether it's positive or negative, just get better from it.
Speaking of learning from those situations and scenarios, let's start from the beginning. You know, what is your why? Why are you in wrestling? What got you to here? What was that moment, or what's your favorite memory of being or seeing what it is that you would now become, you know, in the pro wrestling game? You know, what got you into this?
Yeah, I think I love telling people that when I grew up watching wrestling, for me, like, yes, I was enamored with, you know, the physicality of it, right? I was enamored with just the sport, but I was also enamored with the entertainment and the stories and everything that was going along with that too. So for me, it's just getting people to feel something, right? Like I remember growing up and watching Raw, and I remember, you know, when John Cena comes out, or when CM Punk comes out, or whoever it is, like, and it's cliche now because The Rock was doing it so much, but when he does this, right? When you get those goosebumps and you get that shiver down your spine. We did in high school, we had a Mr. Trinity pageant. The high school that I went to was Trinity High School. So it was kind of like a talent show. And for my senior year, my career was that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And the same question was asked, you know, why do you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I want to give people the shivers down their spine that I got growing up watching this. You know what I mean? Whether it's, you know, the 10-year-old in the front row, or whether it's the mom taking her kid to the show. Like, I want people to come to the show and have such a good time that they feel some sort of emotion to want to come back and understand what professional wrestling is. great example that I always bring up is Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. You watch that video package and you watch that match, and it's like, man, like that is really professional wrestling to a T, right? And so that's been my goal. That's been my goal ever since I started training, was just to get people feel and any emotion. You know, like I know that I'm a heel, right? I'm a bad guy. So it's fun to still be a part of those moments, to maybe make a kid feel upset, make a kid cry, which I've done before, and it's amazing, right? Not exactly what I always set out to do, you know, but it's cool to just invoke emotion in people, because that to me is the strongest. That's our strongest tell as humans, is having emotions that tell us, that direct us where to go, direct us how to feel. And so that's my extremely long-winded answer. Like I love, and I love getting it myself too, when, you know what I mean? Like when I'm entering, or even more so when my opponent's entering, if it's if they have a great, entrance song or something like that, and I get the goosebumps, I'm jazzed up. This is great. I hope that everybody else is feeling it, because I'm feeling it. This is awesome. You know what I mean? So that's really, that's it, man. I just want to help people feel.
You know, I've always looked at professional wrestling, right, as truly an art form, because wrestling is one of those things where you look at and you have certain people, man, something as simple as, a wrist lock, right? Or a tie up, right? Or just the simple lockup, simple things like that. To us on TV, it looks so simple. It looks so effortless. And then you watch people trying to do it for the first time, even trying to get inside the ring, right? That's always been a funny thing. People can't even get to the ring, right? When you first started training, what was that oh shit moment? You know what? This isn't as easy as it looked. Or did you take to it pretty quickly?
I would say the biggest thing that was the shock is taking your first bump. Like you're just not prepared for it. It's all mental, and I would say before that, learn your lockups, learn your headlocks, learn your takeovers. I wrestled in grade school, so like I was cool with rolling around and everything and all that stuff. But as far as like throwing your body down and just tucking your chin, hoping for the best, like that is something that I remember feeling like, man, I don't know if I want to go do this today, and I'm going to talk about Chuck a lot today again, because we just grew up together, we trained together and everything. I remember me and Chuck having those conversations of like, I really hope we don't do bumps today. You know what I mean? And it is such an essential part, obviously, of what we do. And, but I remember that being probably the toughest of, okay, if I can get through this and I can learn this and get past that, then it's smooth sailing. Now I was wrong, because obviously you go through more and you go through some crazier stuff. But so I would say probably taking those first bumps.
Okay, so explain. This is going to be a twofold question here. I guess first thing, when you felt your first bump, how long did it take you to recover, if you could remember that far back? And then two, getting into the ring, what is the biggest difference as far as in-ring shape and being in shape in general? Because you hear a lot of wrestlers say that, you can sit up here, you could be in great physical looking shape, but the cardio and not getting blown up is a completely different animal.
Yeah. So I'll start with that first, because when I first started coming around AIW, when we first decided that we were going to start training, I remember Colt Cabana was at a show, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go up and talk to him. Screw it. And so I went up and I was just like, hey man, like I'm gonna start training soon. Do you have any advice? And his first thing that he said was cardio. Make sure you do cardio. It's all cardio, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about. But just understand that. And it's so true. Like there's been times where I've been out of the ring for a minute for whatever reason, and I get back in, and even if it's like a couple weeks, like it does not take very long.
Yeah.
And then you get back in there and you have a match or something, you're just like, oh man, what happened? You know what I mean? Like I've been in the gym, I've been doing stuff, and so that's why like certain matches I train differently too. Like, if I know that I'm going to be wrestling a guy like Alec Price or something, like I'm doing cardio. I'm doing a lot of cardio. I'm making sure that I'm doing some rope runs at training. I've found a couple different tricks that help in the gym because obviously the best way to get better, with your cardio and wrestling is to wrestle.
Yeah.
That's really the best. That's the best way to do it. Running on the treadmill doesn't do it the same way, but I figured out some ways that kind of help me do it, like doing some short burst stuff and some endurance or whatever it is, that helped me out personally, that I've been able to, put in my back pocket if I need to. But as far as recovery on those first days, like, I mean, it was kind of because, I mean, we were going 2 days a week. So, I mean, to be honest, like it was kind of constant for the first few weeks because your body's getting used to it. And like, I think, I mean, if I had to guess, just trying to like go back in the memory bank, like it's like, so if we had training on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? We do bumps both days. You're probably still sore going into Sunday, like maybe Saturday if you're lucky, but then like you're kind of recovering a little bit. And it's always something different too. I mean, I started when I was really young, so like my body probably recovered really well. But again, like even sometimes if you're out for an extended period of time, that first time you take your bump, like you're just like, all right, that's going to hurt for a couple of days for sure. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just basic stuff sometimes. Like people always ask me like, what's the hardest, move you've taken? I'm like, dude, honestly, probably just like a suplex of some kind.
Yeah.
You just land the wrong way and it's just a little bit too hard. And you're just like, God, what was that? Why is this hurting now all of a sudden? Oh yeah, I got slammed. So, and that's why I have a chiropractor appointment every Tuesday.
Well, it's funny you said that because, a lot of people say the simplest moves, at least the moves that look the simplest, right? You hear a lot of people talk about the AA. When you look at an AA, as a fan, you don't think, oh, damn, that's a devastating move. But you're not the one taking it. Because if you listen to people that take it, they say all that weight just coming straight down like that. Like you said, if you don't have your chin tucked right, dude, the impact, it's more than what it looks like on TV.
Yeah, 100%. And like sometimes it catches you on a shock because if you're too curled up or something, you can't, take that. Maybe it's too inside baseball, but if you can't like, spread yourself out a little bit, like it sucks either way. But dude, if you're all balled up, like you get jarred. So.
King,
what's going on, brother, man? How are you doing, bro?
Hey, how's it going? Welcome.
Yeah, my bad, man. I was taking care of some things.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I took over as host, though, by the way.
I know, that's all good, man. Hey, man, we welcome all guests, man. We welcome all guests, man. Real quick, man, I wanted to ask you, bro, what is your thoughts on just from a guy, from being from the independent, what are you seeing from the industry today, man, with just the commentary as far as the styles and everything that's going on from the addition of TNA, not so much, them getting another TV deal, so adding to the industry, evolving the industry. What are you seeing, man, that gives you hope for the future?
Yeah, so there's a lot of pros and cons, just like there is anything, So right. Like, I was having a conversation with a buddy the other day, and it's like there's so much out there, which is great because it causes competition. But at the same time, there's so much out there that it kind of creates some fatigue, right? So I think that really the best thing that can come out of it is the challenge of trying to set yourself apart and trying to be different and trying to do something that helps grab people's attention. Like we were talking earlier, like just evoking emotion in people. That's the best way that you're going to be able to get people to watch your product, to watch you wrestle, to want to follow your career. If you evoke emotion in them, whether the emotion is, oh man, this guy's cool, he's funny, oh, he does a cool move that's fun, whatever it is. Like me personally, like I'm not a guy that's a crazy indie style guy, like I'm smaller. I don't always do all these crazy flips and, that stuff. I call myself the moment maker for a reason. I am in this to make moments, create emotion, and people take notice of that, right? So like, I think that the biggest thing, like I said, with all this product out here now is just the challenge of, all right, man, the good promotions and the people that are talented will rise up, and we will know, you know. So it's just keep pushing, right?
Yeah, most definitely, and that's why I wanted to ask, because I know for a lot of people, you know, for a lot of older people, you know, they say, you know, oh man, you know, it's not enough action, or they're not, you know, telling the story in the ring. You know, they're moving too fast, and then you got some people where it's like, no, I kind of like the fast pace. The fast pace, you know, it keeps you entertained. It keeps you, you know, locked in and what's going on. That's why I wanted to ask you that, man, just to kind of get your feel on everything, and just
and like they
is
said,
it too much?
It's always like different flavors of ice cream, right? Like you just said, like some people like the fast pace, like Power Rangers type stuff. Some people like the slow and like, oh, like this guy came in and whatever it is. Right. And so, like, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys see as you know, viewers of like things that you guys are more attracted to? Because it's like sometimes you really need that feedback from the fans.
I like both. And me being kind of older, and you know, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan, so I understood the 80s, the big brawler style, and then until when we got to the early 90s, and then we got to Shawn Michaels and the Bret Hart, we got to see more of them, and then we moved towards the cruiserweights. That's what made me love the little guy more. It was when I got to see the cruiserweights in WCW. So for me, I like everybody, but I've definitely gone more toward the wrestling style, the Kurt Angles, the technicians, the guys that really make you watch the match instead of just a big brute that just comes in to beat up everybody. You know, you can only watch that for so long. So for me, I like it.
Yeah, it's funny too, though, because like a guy like Kurt Angle still has this persona and aura about him, right? Like it's not just because he does this move or just because he does it right. Like I know that we retired Perk Angle as a nickname, but like when he was in that stage, like
he was in that stage,
crazy stuff. But it was also like it was evoking emotion in you. Like you're like, dude, this guy's going off, and it's insane, right? So, but you're 100% right.
I mean, it's funny you said that because, you know, when you talk about Kurt Angle, you got to talk about Eddie Guerrero's, right? Eddie had charisma through the roof. And then you talk about, you know, say what you want. I know what he did was heinous. But when you look at Chris Benoit wasn't a character, but the aura, man. When he came out, you heard it open the riff to his theme song. When he came out, just, you know, the neck, and you knew somebody was going to get their ass whooped. And again, you know.
Little guy. That's the thing. Getting your ass whooped by this little dude that's coming out here.
Yeah, granted he was jacked, but
and super jacked. So, and to kind of go along the lines of what he said, I think it's hard, man, because I'm at the cusp of the golden age of wrestling, right? And then, you know, really kind of grew up through the attitude era / ruthless aggression. Now we're getting into this whole reality era, if you want to call it that, where everything's kind of breaking the fourth wall. And you go from the over dramatic characters of the 80s, the Macho Mans, the Hogans, the all over the top. Then you kind of get a little bit more serious to a degree, more how people talk every day in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, it was weird because you kind of had a mix of the hokey shit, but kind of the entertainer and the athlete and the wrestler, Ken Shamrock and Brock trying to bring the UFC real fight thing into it. So you had a lot going on, and now you just kind of got a hodgepodge of everybody. But I think at the end of the day, like the biggest thing is the storytelling. Because I don't care if you're a brawler, I don't care if you're a brute, I don't care if you're a technician. At the end of the day, what is the story? Because a guy like The Miz, right? You take a guy like him and you can put him in the match with a guy like a Randy Orton, and you can put a guy like a Rey Mysterio, 3 different styles. But what's the thing they all have in common? They can tell that story. So I think as long as you can tell the story, stylistically, I'm cool with whatever. So
yeah, definitely.
But speaking of telling stories, man, let's get into this. Go ahead. You could.
Hold on, bro. I want to ask this real quick. I know we need to have stories to tell. You know, we need to have some type of, you know, storyline to tell the story in the match, in the ring. Can it be? Because I think that's been also an argument, is that sometimes I think with a company like AEW, sometimes they just put matches together, and the complaint is, well, you didn't put no real story behind it. And my question to you is, does it need to have a story sometimes? Can you not just sometimes put 2 people in the ring and kind of build the story from that? where a lot of people feel like, oh no, you got to have an already built-in story just to build this thing up between two people.
Yeah, I mean, I understand both sides of it, I guess, right? Like I understand wanting to have something that's like the catch of like, okay, this is why these guys are fighting. And I also understand like sometimes a rivalry or a story will be sprouted from that match. You know what I mean? Right. I think too, like we're going to be breaking the fourth wall a little bit here, but like wrestling at the end of the day is supposed to be an organized sports league. You know what I mean? So it's competition and you're in there to win the match and have a competition and hopefully work up the ranks for a title shot. And all the stuff around it is all just it's entertainment. It's chutzpah, whatever it is, right? So like having those exhibition matches, right? Like your regular season matches, for lack of a better term, like I think that stuff is important because that does help people understand, okay, these are the rules of professional wrestling. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to not do. And this is, at the end of the day, normal wrestling, right?
Right.
When you get into the good stuff is when you start mixing in those elements of, oh, this guy's a bad guy. He cheats all the time. Or this guy's a really guy. He's like our Superman. I love this guy. You know what I mean? And then you kind of start to root for people. And then all of a sudden, maybe a third guy gets involved. And then you have all the storylines and they start to break down and everything, right? And that's the TV show aspect of it. So, like, to answer your question, there's really no right way to do it. It's just whatever is called for at the time and, the situation at hand of where you guys want to take the show. You know what I mean? And a lot of people run their shows differently. So,
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I got a question for you, man. Speaking of breaking the fourth wall, every now and again, we like to kind of toe the line. I may be a habitual line stepper every now and again. So I got a question for you, just because we waited so long to get our guy on. So we got to keep it real. What person have you worked or been in the locker room with or on a show, whatever, all together, even if you guys didn't touch in the ring per se, has been the most surprisingly nicest person that you probably didn't expect them to be nice?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, not that I didn't think that he would be nice, but just because of how our rapport is now, is Heath. Heath and I, like, so we wrestled last 2024, was that? I think that was summer of 2024, which is crazy to think about. But so we wrestled, and after that, it was like we were like best friends. It was crazy, right? Like, and we're not actually best friends, but whenever I see him on shows now, like it's immediately, hey baby, how's it going? You know what I mean? And like we had a great conversation after the match, and so now every time I see him, he's just one of the nicest dudes, man. And it's really cool because like especially like being one of those guys that has been to the dance and done so many cool things, like you don't have to be that way. A lot of guys, they come in and they're, sticking their noses up or whatever it is and staying to themselves and whatever, that's cool. But to just be so personable and just a great little Southern man, like it's really cool. So shout out to Heath. He's amazing.
What is it like to be on a card with guys who've been to the WWE and the AEWs or the TNAs, and to have so many different legends or people who are recently removed from said company? Do you get nervous to prove I could be on the show? Hey, I can.
Well, yeah, 100%. I think when you first start, there's definitely a little bit of that, like, oh, I'm a little starstruck, especially like, I mean, sometimes I'm going to show my age here, but like sometimes there's guys that we bring in like from like the 80s or something that I'm just like, I don't even know who this guy is, but I guess he was popular. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Yeah, like especially when you first start out, you're kind of like, holy crap, like that's Hornswoggle, like, and we're just like walking around with Swoggle, you know what I mean? And now it's like I'll go up and be like, hey Dylan, and you'll be like, what's up, Eric? And you're just like,
Uh-huh.
what? You know, and so like you kind of like get numb to it a little bit.
Yeah.
But there is every now and then, like I'll look around our locker room and I'm just like, man, like we've had Cardona in here, we got Ethan Page, like we got so many guys that we've been able to work with. Tyler Breeze, like just how lucky I am, you know what I mean, to have been able to just meet or even wrestle some of these people that like, you know, I watched on television or have their action figure or whatever it is. Like it's just such a it is humbling. And I was saying this the other day too, like you kind of just start to realize that they're all humans. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're all just human beings. They're all just trying to live their lives. The biggest story that I tell people is I remember before I even debuted, we had a big convention in Akron for one of the AIW shows, and I picked up Ted DiBiase, Cowboy Bob Orton, and Tugboat, and had all of them in my car. Took my mom's car because my car was too small to take all of them. So I'm like, Mom, use your car? She's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, cool. So yeah, shout out to the Care Bear. So her name's Karen. That's why I call her that. So I have all of them in the car, and like they're all just like talking about their sons and their families, and like, yeah, you know, Ted Jr.'s up to this or whatever. Blah, blah, my grandkids, yeah, we're seeing them this weekend. And I'm like, dude, like, they're all just people.
Yeah.
They all just have everyday conversations like us, and like that. I know that some people will be like, oh, it ruins the mystique, but it's like for someone like me, like, yeah, I used to get nervous, but now I'm like, man, like I want to know about this person. I want to know the ins and outs. I want to know what you were thinking. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's the opportunities that we're given at AIW is insane, and just I mean the indies in general, just some of the shows you get to see that you just have all these just wealths of knowledge, right? But we're extremely blessed in Cleveland.
Yes, sir.
My man, it is 2026, and I'm sure you are ready to kick the year off right. So who, matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk some shit. Whose ass are you ready to kick for 2026, man? Who are you looking forward to getting into the ring with and creating some magic with? Because I know you got Danhausen coming up soon. I saw that, so I know you got that coming up.
Yeah.
But outside of him, who else is you looking forward to? I know you can't spoil too much, but you know who you got your eyes on.
Yeah,
you want to get in the ring with.
Right. Well, like you said, first and foremost, Danhausen. Danhausen is the number one target right now. So we'll deal with that next week. January 23rd, Globe Iron, downtown Cleveland, by the way. Tickets are still available. So
yes,
go
sir.
see that. Sure, that's going to be a great show. We also have Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We were just talking about like all these names, right? Isla Dawn, Dijak. It's going to be a stacked card. It's going to be crazy. But so that's first and foremost. That's number one on the docket. I know that you guys love him, but I'm always looking to kick Wes Barkley's ass every day. If I could, I would.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I was hoping you would talk a little shit about Wes because I'm thinking maybe I don't know. A little birdie told me maybe we should do something in person where we get both you guys on.
I mean, we'll see, man. If you get some heightened security, because he might try to pull something.
You know what? You know it's gonna be for shenanigans.
He's always 2 steps ahead, but it's really just him cheating. I don't ever even cheat. I've never cheated in my life. He's the one that does it. He's the one that starts all the ruckus.
Hey, you heard it here. You heard it here. Hey, the man. Hey, Eric, don't tell a lie.
I'm down if he doesn't. I'm down if he doesn't.
No. If we're involved, I think we can make this happen. Man. I think we can get this done and people can see it. But right. Man, real quick, what else outside of wrestling, man, for you? What else is there that got your interest? That's got your peak? You know, we can talk wrestling all day, every day, but I like to know what other things people are interested in doing that's outside of wrestling. You know, whenever they're ready to move on to that next chapter.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, just outside life events. Just became a godfather not too long ago.
Congratulations.
First niece, so that was really cool to just experience that. Go through that entire process and watching my sister and my brother-in-law go through that. It was really cool, and she's she's just fantastic. Like she's just so
That's
sweet.
awesome, man.
And so that's been really cool to become a godfather and uncle and experience all that. So that's really like honestly been eating up a lot of my time because I'm just like, this girl is so cute. I just want to see her like as much as I possibly can. You know,
Hey, I understand. My dad grew up.
I mean, sometimes, and you know, it's whatever. It's all good, but I love her to death. It's crazy, and like she's just like this little. She's the best. So that's first and foremost right now is just like spending time with my family and you know, getting together with them and just being a part of watching this being grow. That's really like my number one interest right now, which is crazy, right? NFL playoffs are here, so I am all about the NFL playoffs. Fantasy football takes up my time from August to now, so like been doing a lot of fantasy football. Probably too much. My girlfriend's probably upset about it, but she's probably really excited that the NFL is getting ready to end here soon. But
they all are.
Yeah. So been trying to pay attention to that. I love some college or some NFL football. I like college football too, but something about the NFL, man. I absolutely love it. And the Browns suck, so like I get to kind of pick and choose who I'm rooting for in the playoffs. Like, oh, like, you know, I like Buffalo, I like LA. So
hey, well, I think we can all be happy that Pittsburgh
big
lost
two right now. And then in the summer, I mean, I just you know, just wanted to stay in shape, just trying to keep my body right and stay in the gym and just get better in areas that I feel weak at, you know, whether it's like my mobility or endurance, like we were talking about, and cardio. So love playing pickleball. Pickleball has been huge lately. Like me and my girlfriend go play all the time in the summer. And so that's always fun. And also one that's kind of like different and interesting that I think I've been trying to learn a little bit of Hungarian.
Okay.
Yeah. Because so I'm 50% Hungarian. My dad's 100% Hungarian. My great grandparents are straight from Hungary. So that was something that I picked up over the summer too. And I fallen off a little bit, but so I learned a couple of vocab words. I was starting to string together some sentences. So I got to get back up on that too for 2026. But so that's been kind of interesting to do too, because my grandpa still speaks just a little bit. So he taught us some swear words. So we've been messing with him with all that. And so I'll just kind of start talking and Hungarian. He'd be like, "Where did you learn that?" And I'm just like, "Don't worry about it."
Pick up a few things.
Well, let me ask you this. You said, you know, you said your goal, man, was to stay in shape. So me as a fellow gym rat myself, you know, what's on your playlist? What gets you going? And you know, and another question I got for you.
Yep.
What is a guilty pleasure your playlist that you probably shouldn't admit it's a song you like, but it gets you going?
Dude, I got so many probably, man.
I can believe it.
My playlist is dumb. So dumb. Dude, it's everything, man. I put my entire playlist on shuffle, and like if I'm feeling it, listening to it, and if I'm not, then I'll skip it. But like you name it, I got it. Like I listen to like I'll go from Elvis to like Wiz Khalifa to Lil Wayne to Linkin Park to some wrestling music to like dude, you know what? Here's my guilty pleasure. Here's my number one guilty pleasure is Star Wars music. I love Star Wars music because I grew up a Star Wars fan. So like, dude, if you listen to some of those like the trailer songs or something, or like Duel of the Fates or like Battle of the Heroes, like you're just like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
You ready to storm the Death Star, my boy. You ready to storm in. I got you.
Ready to like join the dark side, you know what I mean? Like I'm lifting so many weights. So that's a big guilty pleasure. I'm trying to think of like some other deep cuts. I'm gonna go look at my phone real quick because I feel like there's another one that if I said it, you guys would be like,
just starting off with the Star Wars was big enough for me. you won me over with the Star Wars thing, my boy. I'm just saying.
I mean, because like sometimes like you don't want like everyone loves like you know like your rock and rolls and like your rap songs and stuff that like get you going, you know what I mean? But sometimes like I said, it all relates to emotion. You know what I mean? Like if it evokes a strong emotion in me, then I'm like, dude, let's go. I can lift any amount of weight right now. Literally.
Hey, I'm a sucker for a good old Batista theme song every now and again. You know.
When Cena was getting ready to retire, I had him on loop for a minute because I'm like, dude, like I'm just reminiscing about my childhood and it's giving me goosebumps and it powers through the workout. Like sometimes you just have to, whatever works, man. Like just attack it. So
let me ask you that, man. As someone who has seen Cena do what he's done through your career, man, what were your thoughts? Just your general opinion of just kind of like his last run and his legacy, just and what you take from it.
Yeah. There were so many people that were so critical of it, and it's like I respect the fact that they're still trying to do something different, and they're not just gonna phone it in with the layup of, okay, it's the Kobe retirement tour, right? Of he's gonna go to all these cities and just do the hits and say goodbye. So I like that aspect. I think that there was a lot of outside variables that kind of caused them to pivot with a lot of certain things. We all know, like with The Rock and Travis Scott and everything. So like, with the cards that they were dealt, I thought that it was great. And I thought that his last match was very poetic and very John Cena-esque. When it originally happened, I was at my girlfriend's family, so they put it on because I was like, guys, I gotta watch this. I'm gonna go watch this in the car. And they're like, no, we'll put it on. We'll all watch. And I'm like, all right, but if I start blubbering like a baby, like you guys aren't gonna judge me. Right? Probably are, but okay. So watching it and like, so he's in the chokehold and he starts smiling and stuff, and I'm like, what? Why is he smiling? And then like he tapped out, and I'm like, oh, weird. And then I since there was people around there, like I wasn't really watching, but like I was trying, and so then like I started to think about it more and more and more. And then after I'm like, dude, like that's phenomenal. Like that is a way that a superhero would go out. Just like, you know what? I've done everything that I can do. Like I feel like I've given you guys everything that I can give you, right? Like it's like the Iron Man, like when he snaps his finger, right? Like he's like, I got nothing else. I got nothing else to prove. And I thought that it was amazing. I enjoyed it. I wish that I would have been by myself, so I would have let myself cry. But
I got you. Real quick, last question for me, bro. Who is that one person, regardless of who they are, where they're at, you want to get in the ring with? That whoever it is, that one person. Yeah, Eric Taylor. I'm getting in the ring with this person, and we're finna create magic. People are going to talk about this. Who's that person for you?
I think that one that is way more attainable now, given the events of last month, is Nic Nemeth. He was a guy that I grew up watching, and I wore his T-shirt to every single dress down day that we had, like all out in the "it's not showing off" shirt. So like. There's a great story there that we could tell, and I think that we would put on a phenomenal match. And him making his AIW debut not too long ago, I think that it opens the door for something like that. And so that would be really, really cool.
To follow up on that with the whole Nic Nemeth and the Cleveland connection, I asked Shane Taylor this a few years back. I want to bring it back to you. What is it about the state of Ohio, specifically Cleveland, when it comes to the pro wrestling scene? Because, we've got guys and girls all over the place, from the bottom of the Indies to the top of the top. What is it about our city that you think breeds such great wrestlers?
Dude, I don't know. I think Cleveland is just is one of those cities where we're kind of like the forgotten middle child. Like, I mean, you think about like the Browns. The Browns suck. The Cavs, like, but like whatever. The Guardians, they're the Guardians. They, Everyone always says nothing great happens in Cleveland. Nothing ever comes out of Cleveland. All that stuff. So I think that maybe there's something that just invigorates us to want to, not to get out per se, but to just want more, and to, because like you take a look, like I don't know if there's anybody, like there's any other city where like when you like make it, that you just give back to that city and just like call out, like, I'm from Cleveland, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I think that people just want to like put Cleveland on the map so bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I notice is like, I think that people just they wanted to be the one that, oh, that's the guy from Cleveland. Oh, that's the guy from Cleveland. And now it's like, everybody's from Cleveland. So it's like, all successful, but it's just like, now it's kind of getting diluted, you know? But I think it's great because like we're an industrial city. Like we're a hardworking city. And so I think that it's just part of that.
I got one more question before I close this out, man, and then we do some final promotion. Dude, okay, we broke the fourth wall. We talked about fantasy football and all that, which brings me to the whole gambling thing. NBA, NFL, MLB. Is the shit a shoot or a work, brother?
Bro, dude.
I seen that field goal that got missed with no wind. You can't fool me.
There is too many times that crazy stuff happens. Like, I didn't grow up watching, obviously, like in like the 80s and 90s. I don't know if this stuff happened all the time back then, but it seems like it's way crazier now, man. And like,
yeah, it does. It does. It's way crazier now.
You listen to stories about like these mafia guys, and they're like, no, like sometimes, like it happens. And there's gambling scandals all the time. So like, listen, this conversation would be a whole nother podcast. Like,
it does.
I think that the umbrella.
You trying to keep kayfabe alive.
It just keeps going up and up and up because if you think about it, like these companies make so much money, and like CBS, NBC, all these corporations, they make so much money.
They do.
And so even if it was rigged,
right,
and everybody was in on it, everybody at the top would be like, keep it that way. We're not telling anybody because we're making money off of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. At the same time, you could argue, okay, you need so many people involved that someone would whistleblow, right? And I think there is some instances of people that have tried to come out and be like, rig, you know? So like, I mean, I can't say, I don't know. I'm not in the league, right? But like, time will tell. Time will tell, because like eventually there's going to be a crack shown and we're all going to be like, yeah. Also, like, I know how to tell sometimes. You know what I mean? So
it's just too obvious. It's just too obvious, though.
Looks too familiar. So
oh my God! All right, like didn't we just see this a year ago? Didn't we see this just? I could have sworn this was the same scenario 2 years ago. But man,
who books this crap?
Man. Hey, look, we could have had the number one draft pick, but the Browns decided to win the last two games and hit us with a false finish.
Dude, that's what I'm mad about is, okay, if this shit is rigged, why have we sucked so long? Give us some sort of Cinderella story. Like, geez, man.
Everybody else coming up. Hell, Detroit looked great.
Yeah, dude. Something.
Oh, man,
I love it, man.
Strong.
Bro, first of all, again, man, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Again, man, next week, you, Danhausen, one more time. Where can the people see it? What time are doors? Talk to us.
Doors, I believe, are at 6:30. So it is at the Globe Iron downtown. It's a new concert venue. We've been there since May of last year. And, dude, let me tell you, this venue is insane. I don't know if you guys have gotten to one of the shows there or not yet, but it's such a cool vibe. There's a lot of space. There's bars all throughout the venue. So it's fantastic. It's probably my favorite Cleveland venue that we've had so far. So get down there. Like I said, January 23rd. I believe doors are at 6:30. Myself versus Danhausen. You can also watch it if you are not there in person on the AIW YouTube channel on their premium subscription. I do not know the price off of hand, but it's more than worth it to go watch this show. I believe it's called Out of Habit. So it's going to be a great show. Like I said, Dijak is going to be on the show. Hacksaw Jim Duggan will be there signing autographs, Isla Dawn, and I'm sure plenty more announcements to come still. So it's going to be a phenomenal show. I'm really excited.
Hell yeah, man.
Next week, we got Cleveland's own going up against Danhausen at the Iron Globe.
I will not be cursed.
He would
No, do not
He
allow
would
him to
not be
curse
cursed.
you and smack him up, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna smack his face paint off.
Thank you.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am the franchise. He is the king. His future is definitely too bright. Eric, thanks so much, brother.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Man, appreciate you, brother.